Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to do another episode of the Setlist Snubs series. In this series, I'm going to talk about a handful of songs from different bands that don't get played live very much. However, I'm going to give you some reasons why I feel like those underrated songs actually deserve to get played live more often than they do. If there's a specific band you guys want me to talk about in a future episode of this series, please leave a comment down below. I'll check your feedback. Today we're going to talk about some underrated songs from Aerosmith. Aerosmith has been around forever, let's face it. They were even around when there were live shows, if you can remember that. I don't. They're the biggest selling American rock band ever, period. They released their first album back in 1973 and have been going strong ever since. They churned out classic after classic song for decades. But nobody is immune to underrated songs. Even Aerosmith absolutely has their fair share of forgotten favorites. So let's go through and do a recap of some reasons why all bands, not just Aerosmith, choose to play certain songs live and ignore others. The first reason is that casual fans strongly prefer the biggest hits put out there by a band, and they just leave it at that. They don't research any further. They don't dig any deeper into the discography. They tend to place all of their focus on songs like Dream On, Walk This Way, Sweet Emotion, Dude Looks Like a Lady. And they just pretend like the rest of the songs don't exist. So the next reason is that there is pressure bearing down on the bands from a combination of fans and even the fellow band members to play their most cherished songs live in order to elicit a positive response from the fans in attendance at the show, so they will come back to a future show later on down the line. The next reason is that songs off albums that got graded worse, more harshly by reviewers compared to the others, like in Aerosmith's case, 9 Lives and Just Push Play, those albums weren't as well received. Therefore, it's really unlikely that you will hear songs from those two albums performed live because most fans will get upset. The next reason is that on rare occasions, a band has beef with a particular track, so they avoid it like the plague. They act like they never released that song in the first place. It's not linked to them. The final reason is that the amount of casual fans outnumbers the number of hardcore fans. So the bands will listen to the casual fans' voice above the hardcore fans. They will play the songs that the casual fans demand. Whether right or wrong, that's the way it is. So now let's move on to some stats specific to Aerosmith. I gathered off Setlist.fm. I'll put a link to Setlist.fm in the description. For those of you who don't know, if you go to Google, then type in the name of the band you're interested in, followed by tour statistics, then click on the very first result. It will take you to an outstanding website called Setlist.fm, which gives you boatloads of information on songs, albums, tours, and more. So it's a great resource. According to Setlist.fm, the most played live song by Aerosmith over the years has been Walk This Way, a song I'm sick of. When I hear Walk This Way, I want to walk the other way. I can't stand that song anymore. I've had it up to here with Walk This Way. Ugh. So, Walk This Way has been performed 1,650 times by Aerosmith. Crazy amount. Which translates to 366,300 seconds, or put in simpler terms, roughly 4.2 days. That means if you listen to Walk This Way nonstop 1,650 times in a row without any breaks, it would take you 4.2 days to complete that task. I don't think anyone would want to do that. So I sifted through Aerosmith's discography and uncovered 5 underrated, underappreciated songs from their arsenal. I picked songs from a variety of albums, and I'll put a link to all the songs we're going to discuss today in the description if you want to listen to them yourself. I highly encourage you to do so. I was crying after I found out how neglected these songs were. So let's get started. Let's kick things off with Lord of the Thighs off the Get Your Wings album. This song has been played live by Aerosmith 389 times. About 1/4 versus Walk This Way. So 1 out of 4 shows you'll hear this song. All 4 times you'll hear Walk This Way. So Steven Tyler gives us an alluring pace with this song and a voice drenched in honey. The only way I can describe it. He turns up the heat in the second half of the song, kicks things up a notch. The guitar and keyboards were also a stellar highlight of this song. Put that on the highlight reel. The lyrics, instruments, and presentation connect to each other really well, and will probably improve intimate settings when you play this song. Next up, we got Hangman Jury from Permanent Vacation. This song has been performed live just 264 times, even less. A much more defined version of Aerosmith. Some early jaggedness from the 70s was long gone. This album was hailed as a resurgence for Aerosmith. This song features harmonica, which makes it seem more bluesy, gives off bluesy vibes, at least to me. It has pretty visually driven lyrics, almost invites you along for the ride when you listen to it. Showcases some fantastic songwriting. That was always one of Aerosmith's strong points, songwriting. Creativity with the sound effects they added in. That was a nice touch, and gives us the demonstration of how flexible the band truly was. So next up we got Hoodoo/Voodoo Medicine Man off the Pump album. This song has been performed at concerts approximately 129 times. Another song that relies mainly on sound effects to emphasize the lyrics, bring out some more detail. We're blessed with a slamming chorus you want to crank up and belt out at the top of your lungs. Just overflowing with emotion. I gotta praise Joey Kramer above the others here. He's the drummer of Aerosmith. He just knocked it out of the park, man. He was pounding away at lightning speed. You won't want to miss this song if you're an Aerosmith fan. Joey Kramer especially pushed the song forward. There's nothing ordinary about the song Hoodoo/Voodoo Medicine Man. Nothing ordinary about it at all. Next up, I picked Uncle Salty off my second favorite Aerosmith album, Toys in the Attic, trailing just behind Rocks. Uncle Salty has been performed live by Aerosmith just 83 times. Uncle Salty might quite possibly be the most universally agreed upon underrated song from Aerosmith. And rightfully so. It makes sense why so many fans adore Uncle Salty and want to hear it more often. This song is just absolutely full of that swagger that defined early Aerosmith when they started out. Some epic screams from Steven Tyler, met with irresistible riffs courtesy of Joe Perry, and lyrics that you feel tempted to grip tightly. You don't want to let them go. You want to take the lyrics and implant them in your mind so you don't forget about them. I compare Uncle Salty to similar to what you get with uncles at Thanksgiving. Uncle Salty pops up sporadically, but when he does, you're ecstatic to see him. I can't think of a more full package version of an Aerosmith song than this. It's as good as it gets. Finally, I picked the song Nobody's Fault off Rocks. This song has been played live only 37 times. It clamps down on the accelerator from the opening notes. This song is appropriately from the Rocks album. This song truly does rock. It radiates power mixed with expert intentions. It makes you wonder, how can Aerosmith even top this song? Can it get any better? How do they do this? I believe even if you listen to this track, Nobody's Fault, all day long on loop, I doubt you would complain. I don't think you would regret any of it. It's hard not to fall in love with this song right away. One of the most adrenaline-inducing songs available from Aerosmith. It causes you to feel immortal when you listen to this song, like you can do anything, like the sky's the limit. Overall, flattens anything in its path, just mows over everything, and it's by far my favorite underrated track that we discussed today. A true alpha male when it comes to Aerosmith. So, of course, that wasn't all the underrated Aerosmith songs. There are many more. Some that I wanted to include badly but couldn't. I'm restricted by 5. I'm limited to 5 underrated songs with this series. So it's up to you guys to leave some other underrated Aerosmith songs down in the comments below. Something tells me we'll agree on a good chunk of them. So that does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Until then, rock on.